If you want to avoid becoming a statistic, pay attention. These are the 10 reasons most agents don't make it. Number 1, they treat real estate like a job instead of a business. You need to approach real estate as if you are a business owner. See, most agents are sitting around waiting for somebody to tell them what to do, rather than looking at it from the standpoint of, I'm a business owner and I'm going to treat my real estate career like I'm a business owner. And if you will approach it that way and say, this is not a job, it's a business, what you will find is you're going to approach how you go about doing things the same way that a business owner would do it, rather than an employee who is just there to punch a clock and move on to the next thing. Number two is no schedule or structure. They don't have a schedule or a structure that they follow. Again, they just show up to the office whenever they feel like it, versus if you have a business, you're going to post on the door what your schedule is. I would recommend for you as an agent, post your schedule on the door. Let every other agent in the office, let your clients know, let the staff know, let your manager know. This is my schedule. This is where I'm going to be and what I will be doing. See, most agents don't do that. They show up when they feel like it, they leave and go to lunch, then they go home whenever they feel like it, rather than saying, here is my complete schedule that I'm going to follow, and that's how I will ensure my success. So number 2 is they don't have a schedule, so make sure you do have a schedule that you're going to follow. Number 3, no follow-up. I watch agents all the time making prospecting calls, and they are very good at going after that new business. Where I see most agents fail is they don't do any lead follow-up. Lead follow-up is where probably 75 or 80% of the business that you're going to do is going to come as a result of you doing lead follow-up. So how good are you at doing lead follow-up? And ensure that you're not gathering leads and letting them sit on your desk or in a computer somewhere and not following up on them. The key to this business is doing lead follow-up will ensure that you constantly have clients to work with. Number 4 is they rely on social media specifically. Now, I am not saying you shouldn't use social media. That is not what I'm saying. What they do, though, is most agents post on social media and then they pray that somebody is going to respond to their post that they made on social media. Here's what I will tell you, is you have to have a coherent manner that you're going to use social media as part of your real estate business. If you think that just doing a few posts and putting them on social media is going to generate clients for you, you are mistaken. It requires you to coordinate that social media into everything else that you're doing. See, when you'll do that in a scientific manner with a coherent approach to social media, you can actually use it to help you build your business. But again, most agents just throw something out there thinking that's going to get them a deal. Number 5 is most agents fear rejection. That is probably one of the biggest reasons that most agents fail in this business, is they fear the rejection. You just have to know that as a real estate agent, you are going to spend time prospecting and you are going to have people telling you no. You're going to have people hanging up on you, slamming doors in your face. That is just part of the business. And as long as you fear that rejection, it's going to keep you from acting. See, fear keeps us from going and doing what we know we need to do if we want to be successful. So don't let the fear of you being rejected get in the way. In fact, I recommend that you spin it around and don't look at it as rejection. Look at it as, I found out who I don't want to work with. See, somebody who yells at you and slams the door in your face or hangs up on you, is that somebody you would want as a client? No. So instead of fearing that or being rejected or dejected at when that happens, instead approach it from the standpoint of, man, I dodged a bullet there. I would have hated to have that person as a client. If you'll approach it that way, you will find that it's not rejection. You're just actually figuring out who you don't want to work with. Number 6. The number 6 thing that I see that causes people to fail is they are waiting for leads. They wait for leads rather than generate leads. See, most agents come into this business assuming somebody's just going to hand them the business. Your SOI, the people that your friends and family, they assume you show up to the office and that you are handed leads. So just recognize people are not generally going to be handing you leads. And so as a result of that, you've got to go out and generate leads. I had a guy early on in my real estate career that would show up at the office. He would sit down at his desk, and we had this large bank of windows, and he would sit like this and look out the window all day long. Like literally for hours, he would sit and stare out the window. And I would always think to myself, what is he doing? And I one day realized when he just got up to leave, I was like, what are you doing? And he was like, well, I'm just waiting for somebody to call me. See, that's the problem. Don't sit around and wait. You've got to go do something. That guy did not last very long in real estate. I'm not sure that he even did any social media that he was waiting on somebody to call him for. In fact, I'm sure he wasn't, because back then we weren't doing social media. But I don't know what he was waiting for. Maybe he had put an ad in the newspaper. I have no idea. But he would sit at his desk and wait for hours for the phone to ring, and I never once heard the phone ring. Number 7. The number 7 reason that people fail is they don't understand their numbers. They don't understand their numbers. See, when you understand your numbers, hopefully you know how many people do you have to talk to before you set an appointment. And part of that understanding your numbers means you've got to consistently be getting better. The only way you get better is you have to measure. And so if you understand your numbers of how many people do I have to talk to before I set an appointment. Now, I can't tell you this is a magic number for every single person, but for you, it needs to be getting better. And the only way you're going to ever know you're getting better is you have to track your numbers. How many contacts to set an appointment? How many appointments do I go on before I take a listing or get a buyer broker sign? And as you keep track of that, and as you understand the importance of those numbers, what will happen is you will find you get better and better in less and less time. I used to have a manager that I worked for that said numbers are the center of the universe. And so you've got to understand your numbers if you want to be successful in real estate. Next, number 8 is they chase shiny objects rather than mastering. I'm just going to write it here. It's master one strategy. See, I watch agents all the time. In fact, I have an agent that I can think of who contacts me consistently asking, I just heard about this new thing where they're going to give me leads. All I have to do is pay X amount of dollars. See, that's one of the things that leads to failure is rather than saying, I'm going to master 1 or 2 ways that I'm going to prospect and then stick to it. Don't get pulled off by the shiny objects that are out there. There are all kinds of people wanting you to pay them money because they have the next best magic bean or silver bullet that is going to get you to the income that you want. Just recognize and understand that is not going to happen. Instead, focus on one strategy, come up with 2 or 3 ways that you're going to prospect, and if you will stick to those, what you will find is you will become a master at those 1, 2, or 3 ways you're going to prospect rather than chasing every shiny object that shows up. Before moving on to number 9, I want you to know that is the very reason I created the $250,000 freedom formula at agentsuccesshub.net. Is the reason I did that is because too many agents are chasing shiny objects all over the place. And in this $250,000 freedom formula challenge that I offer, I'm going to teach you the strategy that you need to go out and generate over $250,000 in income. And you're going to do it in less time than what most agents do. But I'm going to give you 4 protocols that if you'll follow those for this one strategy is going to get you to over $250,000 a year. So make sure you check that out. Number 9. The next thing that I have seen is that people don't invest in relationships. So agents are worried about going out and getting the deal rather than creating the relationships. I have watched a number of agents come into real estate, do really, really well. They're a flash in the pan. They do a ton of business, and then all of a sudden they're gone. And I wish I could say they're gone out of real estate because they made so much money that they don't need to work anymore. But that's not what happens, because I watch those people every so many years come back into real estate and try to get things going again. The reason that happens is because they didn't build relationships. I helped one guy come into real estate from doing appliance sales, and he was one of the top appliance salespeople. And when he came into real estate, he tried to approach real estate the same way, and he would put a ton of properties under contract, but none of them ever closed. He was great at convincing people to write an offer, but because we have such a long due diligence period, if they don't really want the house, they're canceling. If they don't really want to sell, they're canceling. See, you've got to build relationships. Real estate is a relationship business, and investing in those relationships is what you want, but most agents that fail don't do that. Number 10 is they expect fast money and they quit too soon. I have watched over and over again people come in and start doing the right thing, but they don't do the right thing long enough. Right before they're going to hit the payout, they quit because they get frustrated that how they were approaching it wasn't working. See, you've got to understand that it is going to take a little bit of time and effort, but you got to stick with it. If you will pick one or two ways that you're going to prospect and stick with it, it will work. See, stick with it. Again, back to the $250,000 freedom formula. In that challenge, I am going to walk you through how to be successful so that you'll know exactly what you need to do in order for you to make over $250,000 a year. So check it out on the link at agentsuccesshub.net and sign up for the challenge. And I'd love to help you make that kind of money by following the process that I teach.